Hello guys, welcome to my channel Hangover Theories. In this video we are going to learn about the basics of motion from the grade 9 chapter NCERT, and subsequently we will be doing all the example problems and all the chapter problems at last. So first let's go with the basics. So it would be a very good question to start with. So what is the motion? Motion is nothing but to be in movement. Possessing movement is called motion. If a body is moving, I can say that that body is in motion. And the very few basics from this chapter are, first one is distance. And we already know there is a simple difference between distance and displacement. So we will discuss about that difference now. So let's say this is your school Lycett and here is your home. So when you start to school from home, okay, let's consider you are going on your school bus. The driver will pick up his own path to cover all the students in his way, right? So the path may be like this, or else the path may be like this from school to home. So there may be so many pickups in between the way, and there could be a chance of having so many different paths from home to school that your bus driver will take. That your bus driver will take. So let's name them as path 1, path 2 and path 3. So any length of these paths is called distance. Length of paths P1, P2 or P3 are called distance. Now what about the displacement? Coming to the displacement, okay, let's say you reached your school and let's say you are a Superman now. You are on the terrace of your school and you want to go to your home in a very short time. You have to reach your home in a very short time after the school, let's say, and you are a Superman. You have the ability to fly. So you go on to your terrace of the school and you will directly move towards your home. So this red color path could be the shortest path between your school and the home, isn't it? So this shortest path is called displacement. The length of this shortest path is called displacement. Coming to the same story, in all these paths P1 and P2, P3, the driver doesn't move in a particular standard direction. If you move in a particular standard direction, he won't reach his destination, or else he won't be taking that particular path. So let's say the driver came till here and he want to travel in this path particular, and this distance doesn't have any direction. So the driver doesn't follow any particular direction to move on. He will be turning his bus here and there through that streets and all. So he will be taking, so he is not going in this direction. He will bend and he will turn again, he will turn again, he will turn again. So he doesn't follow any particular direction. But coming to the displacement, when you want, let's say your teacher asked, where is your home? In which direction your home is? Let's say the teacher asked the same question to the student. Student would simply point out his hand at a direction. Ma'am, in this direction my home situated. So that means this displacement will have direction, since it is the shortest path and this is a direct path from your school to home, and it will have particular direction. If you move on, if you fly on towards your home in that direction, you will reach your home. So the displacement will have direction. Distance doesn't have any direction. And the quantity which have only magnitude is called scalar quantity, and which is having both magnitude and direction, it is called as vector quantity. let's say your bus driver has taken has traveled 8 kilometers to reach school from your home in this path, and let's say 10 kilometers in this path, and he has to travel 7 kilometers in this path to reach school, and let's say 8.5 kilometers to reach school in this path. So these 8, 10, 7, 8.5, these are called the magnitude, and this distance will have only magnitude. It doesn't have any direction, which we discussed earlier. But coming to the shortest path, displacement path, let's say this will be the shortest path in all the paths. Okay, let's say it is having 5 kilometers. So this is the shortest path, and this 5 kilometers is the magnitude. 5 kilometers is the magnitude, and there is a direction. Yeah, simple. You can see the arrow mark. That's the direction in which my home is situated. So that is displacement path has both. That's why it is called vector quantity. Let's say you started from point A and you want to reach point B. I have calibrated the distance between them. Let's say you are traveling 5 kilometers in 1 hour, and also one more 5 kilometers in next hour. In next hour also you have covered exactly 5 kilometers, and in the next hour you covered 5 minutes again. You are covering the same distance in the given 1 hour. So this type of motion is called uniform motion. If you are not following this, if you are not traveling same distance in same intervals of time, that is called non-uniform motion. Not covering equal distances in equal intervals of time. But coming to the uniform motion, it is covering equal distances in equal intervals of times. That is the uniform motion which we have seen. Now let's talk about the units of distance. So distance is nothing but the length of that path which the driver has taken, and I said 5 kilometers 8 kilometers, 10 kilometers, and 8.5. So I have taken some random values for random paths. So here itself you can see the units as kilometers, because this is nothing but the length of that path. So it can be in meters, centimeters, kilometers, millimeters, whatever. This is the unit of distance. Coming to the displacement. So that is also a path. That is also a length of a path, but that is the shortest path. That doesn't make any difference for the units. So displacement also have the same units. Yeah, etc. Whatever the unit indicates the length. So the bottom line is that units of distance and displacement are same. Units are same for both distance and displacement. Now coming back to the same old story. Your driver has taken this path to reach school from the home, let's say, and this is of 8 kilometers length, and he is taking 30 minutes to cover, let's say. And being a Superman, you started from school and reached your home in the most possible shortest path. Let's say it is of 5 kilometers and you reached in 10 minutes. Now here I got some confidence that I can define speed and velocity as well. So coming to the speed, this is the fastness in distance path. So how fast the driver maintained to reach school. And here itself I can define the velocity. So velocity is the fastness in displacement path. Now what is the speed here? 8 kilometers per 30 minutes, right? Coming to the velocity, you can calculate the velocity. Same, 5 kilometers per 10 minutes. That result to be 0.26 kilometer per minute. This gives 0.5 kilometer per minute. So this is the speed by the driver and this is the velocity of the Superman. And coming back to the units again. So units of speed, you can see it has kilometer per minute. So you can take anything. Speed is nothing but the distance covered by the time taken. This is the speed. So you can take any units for the distance and you can take any units for the time. Kilometer per minute, kilometer per hour, meter per second, centimeter per second, centimeter per minute, meter per minute, whatever. But the SI unit which we consider the most is meter per second. Since you can see the unit of velocity we have taken as kilometer per minute, it got to be kilometer per minute. That means both speed and velocity will have the same units like distance and displacement. The same. And standard SI unit which we consider, which we calculate the things into is meter per second. And let's say you started from A and you reached point B. This journey you traveled with some different speeds. So initially you started with the speed of 5 km per hour and then you are tired and your pace was decreased to 2 km per hour, and then you ate something and you traveled with more speed, 8 km per hour, and then finally you maintained 4 km per hour for the rest of the journey and finally you reached B. So now there will be a question. After reaching B, let's say it's your home and your mom would ask, that's your home and your mom would ask how much speed you maintained. And you don't want to tell the whole story. Amma, I started with 5 km per hour and then I got tired and 2 km per hour and I ate something. No. You don't need to explain all the things. She asked simply what is the speed you maintained. You have to give gunshot answer. So that's but you maintained different speeds in your journey. So that's where new term comes, average speed. So you just calculate like what is the total distance you covered from A to B and what is the divided by total time taken for the journey. Simple. So this is how you can calculate and give a gunshot answer. That's your average speed maintenance. Coming to the average velocity, it's not the same, but average is nothing but taking two values, adding them and dividing by the number of values you added. So you have to add what is the velocity you start with, that is called initial velocity, and what is your final velocity. That means before reaching your home or before reaching the point B, what's the velocity you maintained right before reaching. That's the final velocity you acquired. Divided by 2. And this in this chapter, not in this chapter, even most of the time, this initial velocity will be indicated with small u and this final velocity will be indicated with small v. So from now on, whenever I need to write initial velocity and final velocity, I will use these denotions, small u and small v. So you have to remember that u is initial velocity and v represents final velocity. So let's consider a scenario where you started the same. I'm taking the same pattern to get the basics easily. You started from A and you reached B, and it's a night ride. You started at exactly midnight 12 a.m. So you started your bike with 50 km per hour. So kilometer by HR and kilometer per R kmph. So km bar HR, kmph are the same. Okay, coming back. They started with 50 km per hour, and after 1 a.m. when you have seen your speedometer, the velocity is 60 kmph, and after 2 you maintained 70 kmph in your bike. So you are keeping on increase. You keep on increasing your velocity from R to R. You maintain 50 for the first 1 hour, and 60 for the next 1 hour, 70 for the next 1 hour, 80 for next 1 hour, 90 for next 1 hour, and 100 for next 1 hour. And you stopped. Let's take this is the point B. You are traveling with different velocities. You have been traveling with different velocities. Now here the new word comes acceleration. I can connect very simply by taking the example. I'm taking the accelerometer. I can simply link up the things here by taking example of or taking the reference of accelerator in your bike. So you started with 50 kmph. If you want to reach 60 kmph, what would you do? Simply you will accelerate more your bike. The right handle you will have the accelerator, right? So to increase the velocity you will accelerate. You will increase the acceleration. You will turn the accelerator more downwards. That's mean accelerating. From 60 to 70, accelerate more. This is how we use the word accelerate. So coming to the physics terms, acceleration is final velocity minus initial velocity. So by the time taken, simply v minus u by t. Acceleration will be denoted with small a. Okay, coming to this thing, what is the acceleration in this journey? So let's see. You can take this as change in velocity by time. You can also take like this. Now let's calculate the change in the velocities. From 50 to 60, what is the change? 10, right? And here to here, again plus 10, plus 10, plus 10. You have been increasing the velocity, plus 10. For every 1 hour. For every 1 hour, you are increasing your velocity by 10 kmph. What is the change in velocity? 10 kmph. You shouldn't say 10 kilometers or 10, simply 10. No. You are increasing your velocity. The change in velocity time to time is 10 km per hour by the time. How much time? For every 1 hour. Simple. Get the relation. 10 kilometer per hour by hour. So that gives you 10 kilometer per square r square. So acceleration a equal to 10 kilometer per r square. So get the journey first. So you started, you had a night ride, and you keep on increasing your velocity from 1 hour to 1 hour. For every 1 hour, you are increasing your velocity. How much is the change in velocity divided by how much time you are taking to change the velocity, or else at what rate? So simply you can remember the word like this: divided by t will be taken as rate of. rate of divided by t. Wherever you see divided by t, you can read it as rate of. So I can take the definition of acceleration as rate of change in velocity. Simple. That's how we can remember. Wherever there is by t, you can read it as rate of. Simple. So let's come to the units. Units of acceleration. So acceleration equal to v minus u by t. And there is a thumb rule in the physics. Whenever we were asked about the units, we have to remember the formula. Without the formula, we can't get the units. Those are derived units. There are two types of units, right? Fundamental units and the derived units. Fundamental units matlab, like for the length it is centimeters. No need to know any formula for that. Those are the fundamental things. Fundamental units. So these are the derived. That means we are using the fundamental units to get these. What is the final velocity? Okay, unit of velocity. So simply it is a change in velocity, and change in velocity will be in kilometer per hour. Kilometer per hour by r. That is kilometer per r square. Or else you can get the change in velocity in meter per second by second. So meter per second square. Or you can use any units. Change in velocity can be in centimeter per minute per every minute. So that will be centimeter per minute square. So out of all these, the SI unit and which we mostly use or consider is meter per second square, SI unit. And there is a new word called, the branch of acceleration. There are two types, uniform acceleration and non-uniform acceleration. Uniform acceleration means you are accelerating your bike uniformly. Like you are increasing 10 km per hour in a uniform fashion for every 1 hour. This is the uniform acceleration. So what is the difference between uniform and non-uniform acceleration then? So in the non-uniform acceleration case, it will be like you will be increasing 10 km per hour, but the time interval will not be the same. It may be 130 and it may be 230, or it will be again 3, 430, 520. So this is not the same time. Maybe you are increasing your velocity in a fashion of plus 10, plus 10, plus 10, plus 10. But it is not in the equal intervals of time. That's the non-uniform acceleration. And we have three equations of motion. V is equal to u plus at, s is equal to ut plus half at square, v square minus u square equal to 2as. Now we are going to derive these three equations in a very, very simple manner. So coming to the very first one. So there won't be, I feel there is no need of using the word derivation here, because we know the formula A is equal to v minus u by t. So by basic simple math simplification, we can get that A into t is equal to v minus u. Keeping the subject as v and taking the minus u to the left of the equal to, that will be u plus at. Done with the first equation. I don't feel having any derivation for this. Let's say you have started on a ride here at this point exactly, and let's say you started your bike with some initial velocity u. Or else let me take the numbers first and then take off the numbers, and I will put the variables symbols over there. So let's say you started your bike with 30 kmph. The y-axis is velocity and x-axis is the time. So you started with 30 km per hour. After some time, let's say after some time like 40 minutes. After 40 minutes, when you see the velocity in your speedometer or speed in your on your speedometer, so I started using the same words velocity and speed at the same time randomly, right? So because I don't care about the path, I am not caring about until and unless I care about the path, I don't care about the difference between velocity and speed in my usage of the terminology. And one more thing, what I did is after starting my bike, I didn't decrease my velocity, but I keep on increasing my velocity. I keep on increasing my velocity. So after 40 minutes, I have found that my velocity reached somewhere 60 km per hour on speedometer. You can check these values on the speedometers while you are traveling. So after 40 minutes, when I checked the speedometer, the speed was 60 km per hour and I started with 30 km per hour. So I just made it as speed or velocity for the y-axis. So just to take out the confusion. And one more thing which I know is speed equal to distance by time, and distance will be equal to speed into time. And there is a very important thumb rule here is whenever there is a multiplication symbol between x-axis term and y-axis term, I'm just repeating again, you can note this. If there is a multiplication between x-axis term and y-axis term, you have to find the area. You have to find the area of graph covered to get the distance. I mean, whatever the result here it is. Okay, so to get the distance, I need to find the area of the curve or else graph or curve it covered between the speed and time, between the x-axis term and y-axis term. It has, you have to follow this area calculation method only if there is multiplication symbol, the multiplication between the x-axis term and the y-axis term. See, I am trying to repeat the same statement again and again. That's important it is for your problems also. So now I am going to find the area under this curve. So that means the total area here interlocked, the total area interlocked. So before calculating the whole area at once, to make the calculation simpler, I am dividing this whole area which I have shared earlier into two parts. So in the first part I got a triangle and in the second part I got a rectangle. So now I am going to find the area of one separately and two separately. At last I will join both of them and I will get distance, right? Now I will change these values. I have taken these values only for your understanding. Now I will take the variables which are very boring. V, final velocity, and I started with initial velocity u, and this 40 minutes of time I am just simply taking it as t. Got it? So that means this distance is, here it is 0 and here it is t. So the total distance is t minus 0. And this part will be the height. Else it is the u. Initially you started with initial velocity u, right? So this height is u, and in the rectangle the opposite sides will have the same length. It is also u. This total height is v, and in the same way parallelly you have another dotted line, so it also will have the length v. So now question is, what is the value of this part? Simple puzzle. This will be the v minus u. I am considering the whole v and I am taking off v here, sorry, u here. I am subtracting u from the v, so you will be remained with this part, that is nothing but v minus u. Now I am going to use these things for the derivation purpose. So let's find the area of first part. So first part is nothing but the triangle. Area of triangle will be half into base into height. So that gives half into, so what is the base? This is the base of the triangle and this base is nothing but the t. So the parallel sides are equal. If this is the t, this is also will be the t into what is the height? This is the height of the triangle, that is the v minus u. So simply put this here, half v minus u into t. Now let's find the area of second part. It is simply a rectangle, and you know the area of rectangle will be the base into length. Yeah, length into base or whatever. So base is, this is the base, that is t, and this is a so coming to the area of second part, it will be it is a rectangle, you can see over there, and the area of rectangle is length into breadth. So the length is t over here, so this is the length if you consider, and into this is the breadth, and it is the u, simply ut. So when I calculate the area, what I will get? Speed, right? That's what we discussed from the equation formula, distance equal to speed into time, and I am going with the area calculation if there is a multiplication symbol between the x-axis term and the y-axis term, right? So simply I will get the distance. Here s represents the distance, s is not the speed. One more thumb rule here, s is not the speed here, s is the distance. So now I am going to add the areas of 1 and 2, so that is half v minus u into t plus ut. So let's continue the derivation. S is equal to ut plus half, and you know the formula for acceleration, a is equal to v minus u by t, and v minus u will be a into t. So I can place at in the place of v minus u, at into t. So s is equal to ut plus half at square. Done with the equation 2. So now let's derive the third equation. For the third equation also I am taking the same graph. I started my journey with the velocity u, and after some time t, I reached velocity of v. So v is the final velocity and u is the initial velocity. Now the same thing, speed equal to distance by time, and distance equal to speed into time. This is the x-axis term and this is the y-axis term, and there is a multiplication symbol between these two terms, and I need to find the area under the curve to get the distance. This is the thumb rule which I said, isn't it? But here I am going to take the whole graph at a time, and I am going to calculate the whole area at a time, unlike dividing into two parts which we done earlier. So I can observe that this is the trapezium. This part is the, I mean, it is forming a trapezium. This is the trapezium, and you have to find the area of this part. And I know the area of trapezium is, half into area of trapezium equal to half into sum of parallel sides into distance between parallel sides. So this is the formula of the area of trapezium. So now let's see what are the parallel sides here and what is the distance between them. This is one parallel side which is having length u, and this is one more parallel side which is having length v, and the distance between these two, or the height between these two, is t. Done. Just put the values here, half into sum of the parallel sides. So one is v and another parallel side is u, right, into the distance between the parallel sides, the distance or height, you can say a distance or height. So the height between the parallel sides is t. This is nothing but the distance. So let's continue. So the distance I have to take it as s. You can take any variable u, v, s, t. In these places you can take any x, y, z, p, q or whatever you want, but it is the standard being followed for so many years. Chalo, half into, I am writing the same thing here, into t. And whenever you were asked about a question, derive the third equation, v square minus u square equal to 2as. In that equation we don't have any t over there. V square minus u square equal to 2as. There is no t over there. That means I have to remove the t. I have to get rid of t. Another formula, a is equal to v minus u by t. So t is equal to v minus u by a. Simply I can plug in that value here. Half into v plus u into, in the place of t, v minus u by a. V plus u into v minus u by 2a. So this is how the math work for the physics. Math is the language of physics, language of science. So you might have learned a formula that a plus b into a minus b equal to a square minus b square. Or else let me derive. A into a square. A into minus b, minus ab. B plus b into a plus ab plus b into minus b square. Minus ab plus ab will get cancelled and you will left with a square minus b square. So in the same way, but here we have the variables as v and u. Simple. So finally it will have v square minus u square by 2a. Using the basic math, 2a will go to the left side of the equal to and becomes multiplication. Multiplied with s, 2as. Done with the third equation, right? Okay. It has been a randomly 30 minutes. We have been discussing the basics, and one more basic we left with is conversions. It will be very easier. I will take only 1 or 2 examples. So if you want to convert kilometer per hour into meter per second, what we have to do? From meter per second to kilometer per hour, with the simple thing you will get to know. Okay. Let's say there is 36 kilometer per hour that I have to convert into meter per second. Okay. So the process, the first thing you have to follow is take the 36 as it is into, now the crucial part comes. You have to consider the units. So from the left to right, 1 kilometer equal to how many meters? 1000 divided by 1 hour equal to how many seconds? 1 hour equal to 60 minutes and each minute will give one more 60 seconds. So that is 36 into 1000 by 3600. So let's continue with the simplification. 36 into, so I can directly cancel 36, 100 times is 3600, but I just want to simplify here this part. So it will give you 5 by 18. So 10 meter per second is the answer. So whenever you want to convert kilometer per hour into meter per second, you have to multiply this value. So that will be same every time. Okay. So whenever you want to convert kilometer per hour into meter per second, you have to just multiply 5 by 18 to that. So coming to the second one, here it's a simple reverse thing. So you have to multiply 18 by 5. If you want to convert meter per second into kilometer per hour, you have to simply multiply 18 by 5 to the value of the meter per second. So let's go with the another simple conversion, like from kilometer per minute or else kilometer per hour to meter per minute, or make it harder, centimeter per minute. So 1 kilometer equal to how many centimeters? It's first 1000 meters. 1 meter again gives 100 centimeters by 1 hour equal to how many minutes? These are the words, statements which you have to say in your brain while doing. so that you don't forget. And just don't blindly remember into 5 by 18 into 18 by 5, so that doesn't give any sense. You have to be confident enough with the concept. So 1 kilometer equal to 1000 into 100 centimeter, and 1 hour gives you how many minutes? 60 minutes. 1 2 3 4 5 by 60, 0 0 get cancelled, 2 3s 2 5 0 0 0 500 5000 by 3. So this is how you have to go on with the conversions. So it's been a long time that we are discussing the concept. So let's finalize summary. So now we have to get ready with the weapons to do the problems. So the basics from the basic. So you know the distance and displacement and their units: meters, kilometers, centimeters. And coming to the speed and velocity, I forgot to say the very basic formulas. So I have done with speed equal to distance by time, I already discussed. Coming to the velocity, it is a displacement by time. That's okay. So speed and velocity, they will be having kilometer per hour, meter per second, centimeter per minute, whatever. But the meter is the standard, meter per second is the standard. And coming to the acceleration, let's discuss the formulas first. Speed equal to distance by time. Distance is in kilometers and time is in meters. Distance is in centimeters, time can be in minutes. Distance can be in meters and time can be in seconds. So this is how you have to, you can get the units from the formula, no need to remember. And from this, meter per second is the standard. And coming to the velocity, it is the displacement by time and units are the same. And here also the meter per second is the crucial. That's the SI unit, that's the standard SI unit. Coming to the acceleration, so simply I can take A is equal to V minus U by T. Final velocity V minus initial velocity U by the time, how much time it has taken. And the units will be is change in velocity, that means meter per second, and the time will be in seconds, and that will be meter per second square or kilometer per hour square, centimeter per minute square, whatever. But here the standard again is meter per second square. Any other which I left. And yeah, if there is multiplication between x-axis term and y-axis term, go for area calculation. Simple. This is the basic rule, basic. I hope you got this. And yeah, I will left with average formulas. Average speed equal to total distance by total time taken. But coming to the average velocity, final velocity that will be the same, initial velocity plus final velocity by 2. Okay, so this is the average speed or average velocity. You can see these calculations in cricket. So there will be 6 balls, 1 2 3 4 5 6 balls in a over, and first ball, let's say this will be 80 km per hour, and this is 50 km per hour, and let's say the third ball it went with 120 km per hour, and the fourth ball with again 90 km per hour, and fifth ball it is, let's say, 110 km per hour, and it is 112 km per hour, something. So each ball will have different speeds or different velocities when it is being bowled. Now, if the question is what is the speed you maintained in your over, what is the speed you maintained in your hour, then you have to take the average. 80 plus 50 plus 120 plus 110 plus 90 plus 112 divided by how many entries you did? 6. So you have to divide it with 6. So that will give some random value somewhere around, let's say around 100 around, let's say 100 points something or something. Just calculate yourself. So this is the average speed the bowler maintained in that over. So this is how the average speed values will be calculated in cricket. Another formula, yeah, and lastly we left with 3 equations. V is equal to U plus AT, S is equal to UT plus half AT square, V square minus U square equal to 2AS. Okay. So these are the so simply I can say this is the summary. So this is the whole thing which we going to use in the problems. These are all if you remember all these things, you can do any problem. Literally any problem in this chapter. So just remember, try to practice this. So now we are going into the problems. So here is the question. First question, example 8.1 from the page number 101 from your NCERT textbook, grade 9 motion chapter, obviously. Read the question first. An object travels 16 meters in 4 seconds and then another 16 meters in 2 seconds. So an object started here and it traveled 16 meters in 4 seconds and another 16 meters in 2 seconds and he reached his destination A to B. Okay, so this is your home. After going home, your mom would ask what is the speed you maintained in your journey, but you have 2 different values. Half of the part you traveled with 16 meters in 4 seconds, that means 4 meters per second, and the second part you traveled 16 meters in 2 seconds, that is 8 meters per second speed. You have 2 speeds, but you have to say only one speed. That's where I said you have to be calculating average speed. Formula is total distance traveled by total time taken. So total distance is 16 meters plus 16 meters. Total time is 4 seconds plus 2 seconds. So that is 32 meters totally and taken 6 seconds totally. That gives you 5.3 meter per second. This is the speed of the object, average speed. So this is the second example from your textbook, page number 102. Read the question first. So the odometer. So odometer is a device which shows how many kilometers you ran or you ride, how many kilometers you rode in your car or bike. Okay, the odometer of the car reads 2000 kilometers. So when you get into the car, already the odometer reading is being shown as 2000 kilometers at start of your trip, yes, and 2400 kilometers at the end of the trip. So when you get out of the car, when your journey ended off, the reading shown as 2400. If trip took 8 hours, calculate average speed of the car in kilometer per hour and meter per second. Okay, so let's calculate average speed. Average speed equal to total distance by total time. What is the total distance you traveled? It was already 2000 kilometers on the meter when you enter into the car. Finally it is 2400. So the total distance you traveled is 400 kilometers, isn't it? Because 2400 minus 2000, that gives you 400 kilometers. Okay, so 400 kilometers by what's the total time it took? 8 hours. That gives you 50 kilometers per hour. Done with this. Now convert this into meter per second. That's what it was asked. So 50 kilometers per hour I have to convert into meter per second. What I have to do? Simply I have to multiply with 5 by 18. So it becomes 50 into 5 by 18 meter per second. Just calculate and you will be getting 13.9 meter per second. Done with the second. Example 8.3. Usha swims in a 90-meter long pool. She covers 180 meters in 1 minute by swimming from one end to other and back again in the same path. Find average speed and average velocity. Let's take average speed equal to total distance by total time. So let's say this is the pool. She started here and the length of the pool is already given as 90 meters. So she started swimming here. She went to the other side and she also came back to the same point again. The total distance she covered is 180 meters. What is the time taken? 180 meters in 1 minute. It's already directly given. So 1 minute equal to 180 meter per minute. So usually we will follow meter per second standard, right? Which we already discussed. So let's convert 180 into, so I have to convert 180 meter per minute into meter per second. So 180 into 1 meter equal to how many meters? Simply 1 by 1 minute equal to how many seconds? 60. So 180 into 1 by 60 meter per second. So here I have to make it as seconds. So that is 3 meter per second. So that's how we computed average speed. Now we have to deal with average velocity. Okay. Now initially velocity equal to displacement by time. So displacement is the shortest, isn't it? Shortest path between starting point and destination point. This is the shortest, right? Home and school. Home is the starting point and school is the destination point. But here she started from a point and she came back to the same point again. She started here, she went somewhere else in this direction, and again in this back round she came in the same path again. So it has to be overlapped. Just for your clearance, I have taken some distance between the first line and second line. So she came back in the same straight line path and came back to the same point again. Here the starting point and destination point are the same. Yeah. Is there any length between them? Is there any gap between them? No. So that means here displacement is 0. Displacement is 0. When the displacement is 0, velocity will be 0. When the velocity is 0, no need to calculate average velocity. Simply it is 0 meter per second. So let's say there is a athlete running in a track. He started here, he ran the whole circle and came back here again. So the displacement is 0. Distance is the whole length of the track. Distance, that's the distance which he traveled. But coming to the displacement is 0 because there is no path or length between the starting point and the ending point, because both are the exactly same. So the example 8.4, fourth example of the chapter. Read the question. Starting from a stationary point. So whenever you have a word stationary position, that means the initial velocity is 0. So that's the initial point and he hasn't started his cycle yet. The initial velocity is 0. He has not been moving initially. Then Rahul pedals his cycle. So it's not a bike, so he doesn't have any accelerator, so he has to pedal to get his velocity. Attain a velocity of 6 meters per second in 30 seconds. Then he applies brake such that the velocity of the cycle comes down to 4 meters per second from 6 meters per second in the next 5 seconds. Comes down to 4 meters per second. Calculate the acceleration of the cycle in both the cases. So if you are not so good at understanding the problem, the only basic rule is you have to try to make a simple diagram. Here is the initial starting position. Let's simply I have to make this A. So for the first 30 seconds, here his velocity is, after this 30 seconds, when he checks his velocity, it was 6 meters per second. And then suddenly, I don't know why, maybe the dog came across. He applied brake such that his velocity has dropped to 4 meters per second in the next 5 seconds. In the next 5 seconds, his velocity dropped from 6 meters per second to 4 meters per second due to applying of the brakes. Initially, he started with 0 meters per second. So this is the first case and this is the second case. For the first case, let's calculate the acceleration. Acceleration equal to final velocity minus initial velocity by time. So this is the first case, so don't consider this part. So only this part you have to consider. So this is the initial velocity u and this is the final velocity v. So 6 meters per second minus 0 meters per second by 30 seconds. That gives to 6 meters per second by 30 seconds. That is 0.2 meter per second square, right? Meter per second by second. So you might be knowing about the concept of reciprocal. That gives you meter per second into 1 by s when the s comes to the numerator. So that gives you meter per second square. Okay. So this is for the first case. And coming to the second case, so here it will be something different. So this is the second case. Now to consider this part now. For this second case, this is very important statement. See here. Coming to the second case, this will be the initial velocity. So when I consider this part, this will be the starting and this is the final. Or else this is the starting reference of the situation. This is the ending reference of the situation. At the starting reference point of the situation, he has a velocity of 6 meters per second. That will be the initial velocity in this case, for this second case. And finally, he dropped it to 4 meters per second. That is his final velocity in this case. So acceleration equal to final velocity minus initial velocity by time. Final velocity, he has been dropped to 4 meters per second. And minus initially it is 6 meters per second. By how much time he has taken to drop his velocity? 5 seconds. That means minus 2 meters per second by 5 seconds. That gives you minus 0.4 meters per second square. So what is this minus? We haven't discussed about minus case in the acceleration, right? When the velocity increases from time to time, that is called, you can take it as also positive acceleration. Positive acceleration. When the velocity is decreasing from time to time, has been decreasing, keep on decreasing, then you can say that situation has negative acceleration, and this negative acceleration is also called as retardation. You are going to learn new things from the questions. So negative acceleration will have negative symbol. So here from the question itself we can get to know that his velocity has been dropped from 6 meters per second to 4 meters per second, right? So the velocity has been decreased. So that is called retardation. This negative representation, that retardation or deceleration deceleration, retardation, negative acceleration, these are all the same. They will have negatives in their values. So example 8.5, page number 108. So let's read the question. A train starting from rest. So as I said, when you have any word like stationary, starting from stationary position or starting from rest, that means your initial velocity is 0. It is velocity of 72 km per hour. So that's the final velocity. So that is the v, small v. And it takes 5 minutes to attain this velocity. Now you have to find acceleration and also the distance traveled with the train for attaining this velocity. So the basic approach of any problem is, so let's write the data over here first. So we know initial velocity is 0 and final velocity is 72 km per hour, and the time it has taken is 5 minutes. And we need to find acceleration and the distance. Here I am taking it as s. So we know the formula for acceleration, that is a is equal to v minus u by t, change in velocity. What is the change in velocity? Final velocity is 72 km per hour minus 0 divided by 5 minutes. So here see, the problem is the unit of time should be the same. The unit of time should be the same when you are plugging in the values in the formula. But here it is in minutes, it is in hours. What can we do? What can we do? So let's make everything in meter per second. That would be better, right? And that is the standard anyway. 72 km per hour. I need to convert this into meter per second. What I have to multiply? I have to multiply with 5 by 18. 72 into 5 by 18 gives 18 fours, and it is 20 meter per second. That gives 20 meter per second minus 0 by 5 minutes. 5 minutes I have to convert this into seconds. 5 into 60 seconds. 20 by 300 meter per second square. The final result would be 1 by 15 meter per second square. Done with the first one, and coming to the second one, we need to find the distance. Now here we are going to use the equations, 3 equations which we know. So let me write the equations first. V is equal to u plus at, s is equal to ut plus half at square, and third one is v square minus u square equal to 2as. So the main thing lies here. Which equations should I choose? Which equation should I choose? I need the distance to be found, but we have the data of u, v and t, only these things, and now we found acceleration a also, so we have only these things. Anyway, we don't have any term, we don't have any distance in this formula, so we are not going to use this. We have speed in these 2 equations. You can use any of these 2 equations, so I just want to try with the third one first. V square minus u square equal to 2as. V square, I just we have already converted this, right? So 20 square minus 0 equal to 2 into 1 by 15 into s. Now I have to find the s. 400 equal to 2s by 15. So s equal to 400 into 15 by 2. 200. That gives you 3000 meters. That is 3 kilometers. So to attain 72 km per second, in 5 minutes it has to travel 3 kilometers. So let's use another formulas. S is equal to ut plus half at square. Let's check. So this is what we have to find. So keep it aside, keep it on the left side. U is 0, so 0 into 2 becomes 0. Half into 1 by 15 into t is 5 minutes. That means 5 into 60 whole square. 1 by 30 into 25 into 3600. So 0 gets cancelled. 120, 25 into 120, that is 3000 meters again. That is 3 kilometers. So which of the formula you use, you will get the answer finally. Example 8.6, page number 109. So this is also like the earlier problem. A car accelerates uniformly from 18 km per hour to 36 km per hour in 5 seconds. You have to calculate the acceleration and then the distance covered by the car in that time. So mainly the people will think the car accelerates uniformly from 18 km per hour. So they will think suddenly like, so maybe this 18 km per hour is the acceleration given. But no, this is the velocity given. This is initial velocity and this is the final velocity it reached. If you have any confusion which is acceleration and which is velocity in the question, you have to pick up the units to check. Here the unit is kilometer per hour. So obviously it could be either speed or velocity, right? It can't be acceleration. So let me read the question again. A car accelerates uniformly from 18 km per hour to 36 km per hour. So this is the initial velocity and this is the final velocity it reached and this is the time taken. Now you have to find the acceleration. So let me write the data first. U equal to 18 km per hour and V equal to 36 km per hour. And the timing given is 5 seconds. Okay, see here again. The units are not same in every aspect, in every value given. Here the time units are seconds, but here it is in hours, So let's make them as seconds. So or else we can better convert this into meter per second. So 18 into 5 by 18, that gives you 5 meter per second. Here 36 into 5 by 18 and that gives you 18 to 10 meter per second. And this is the time. You have to find the acceleration and the distance. So let's go with the first thing first. We know the acceleration formula. A is equal to v minus u by t. V is 10 meter per second minus. Now no need to bother about the units, so better not take the units. 10 minus 5 and divided by 5, that's the time. 5 by 5, that is 1 meter per second square. These units are the heart of this chapter. The units in the problems are the heart. 1 meter per second. And then you have to find the distance. So let's write all the equations. So this is the process I'm saying this process repeatedly because if you have any doubt, okay, which equation we have to pick to work on this problem. We have 3 equations. S is equal to ut plus half at square. V square minus u square equal to 2as. So these are our 3 equations. We need to find the distance. So the same, how to select the equation. We need to find the sum. We need to find the distance. It doesn't have any distance related term, so we can't use this. These two have the distance related thing in these formulas, so we can pick one of these two. Which one we can pick? We have value of v, we have value of u, we have the value of a. We have to find s. So you can pick this. You have the value of u and you have value of a, you have value of the t. So you can pick any one equation of these two. So let's do with the v square minus u square equal to 2as first. So final velocity is 10, initial velocity is 5, and the acceleration we got as 1, and we have to find the s. 100 minus 25 equal to 2s. So s will be equal to 75 divided by 2. So that gives you 37.5 meters. Done. So let's try with the another equation also. S is equal to ut plus half at square. So u is okay. Let's u is 5 and the time taken is also 5 seconds plus half into acceleration I got is 1 and the time is 5. So just plug in the values. 25 plus half into 25, that gives 25 plus 12.5 finally S is equal to 37.5 meters. So it may be any formula you pick up with. The answer should be the same and will be the same. Example 8.7, page number 109. Let's see the question. The brakes applied to a car produce an acceleration of 6 meters per second square in the opposite direction of the motion. That means the brakes are applied in the opposite direction to the motion. So here he tried to confuse us. The brakes are applied to a car produce an acceleration. How come brakes will produce the acceleration? Accelerator will use the acceleration, right? When you apply the brakes, the velocity will decrease. So this is how he is giving a hint that it is retardation, negative acceleration. And you can see the keyword opposite direction. It is applied in the opposite direction. So that means the acceleration which is given actually it is retardation. So it will be minus 6 meters per second square, and the car has taken 2 seconds to stop, right? 2 seconds to stop. So finally it stopped. Finally it stops. Then what will be the final velocity? Final velocity will be 0. It stopped finally. So v is equal to 0. Calculate the distance it travels during this time. So this time of 2 seconds. So you have to find the distance. S is not the speed, this is the distance. So let's write the equation first. Which equation we have to pick up? V is equal to u plus at. S is equal to ut plus half at square. V square minus u square equal to 2as. We have to find the distance. So we have to pick up any of these two equations because these have the s in those equations. But the thing is, let's see, apart from the s, do we have every other value? We have t, we have a, we have t, but we don't have u. Yeah, coming to this, we have v, we have a, we have to find s. But if we also don't know u, there shouldn't be any, there shouldn't be two unknowns. There shouldn't be two unknowns. So if you want to pick any of these two equations, before picking up, you have to find the value of initial velocity. Okay, let's come to the first equation. We have the value of v, we have the value of a, we have the value of t, and we have to find u. So that means we have to pick up this equation first to compute value of u. Let's do that. V is equal to u plus at. Final velocity is 0 equal to u plus a is minus 6 and the time taken is 2 seconds. 0 equal to u minus 12. U is equal to 12 meter per second since it is a velocity. So I got value of u. So I can pick up any of these two equations to find the distance. Let's take this equation first. S is equal to ut plus half at square. I want to just plug in the values directly. 12 into time is 2 plus half into minus 6 and the time is 2 square. 24 minus 24 by 2. Let me solve completely. (24) minus 24 by 2. That gives you s equal to 12 meters. 24 minus 12. This is 2. Okay. So let's also do with this equation. V square minus u square equal to 2as. We need s, right? So v is 0 and u is 12 square equal to 2 into minus 6 into s. Minus 144 equal to minus 12s. Minus will get cancelled. S equal to 144 by 12. That gives you 12 meters. So which of the formula you pick up? The answer will be the same. Don't get confused. By now you must have well versed with the which equation we have to pick up to do the solution. So let's go with the basics of this uniform circular motion. Just it takes a minute. So let's say you are here, you tied a rock to a string and you started spinning around. So it's been swirling around you constantly. Now, fortunately, he is swirling the stone with a velocity of, let's say, 5 meter per second. So the stone is moving in this circular path constantly with constant velocity of 5 meter per second. Now my question is this be called as accelerated motion? Is this be called as accelerated motion? If you need to call this as accelerated motion, there should be acceleration to the stone. Is there any acceleration to the stone actually? Acceleration equal to change in velocity. Change in velocity by time. Is there any change in velocity? I am saying it is moving with a constant velocity of 5 meter per second. Is there any change in the velocity? No. 0 by t, 0 by time. Acceleration is 0. When the acceleration is 0, how can it be accelerated motion? No, right? But unfortunately, this perception is brutally wrong. This perception is brutally wrong. Why? Because when you are considering velocity is a vector quantity. So before anything, it is a vector quantity. So that means it has both magnitude and direction. Now the main thing comes here. If magnitude changes, I can say velocity is changing. When the direction of the object is changing, I can say velocity is changing. That means if any one of these factors, either magnitude or direction or both, is changing, I can say the velocity is changing. In this example, the magnitude is not changing. It's been constantly 5 meter per second throughout the time, but the direction is being changed. That means when the stone is here, it want to go in this direction. When the stone is here, it has a tendency to go in this direction. It has to go in this direction. Tendency to go in this direction, but the string is pulling the stone to be in the circular path. Okay, let's say the situation came, that's why I want to explain the tangential direction also. When the guy is spinning this stone around, let's say there is a break in the thread. In which direction it will flow on? In which direction the stone will flow? So right, exactly when the ball is in this position, the string has broken up. So this will go in a particular direction out of the circle. Exactly right, out of the circle. So the direction in which it is going, it will be exactly perpendicular to the string. Pakka. And this direction is called tangential direction. The direction of the path which is perpendicular to the string. That's the tangential direction. So the stone has a tendency to move out of the path at each and every point, but the string is pulling, or the string is forcing the stone to be in the circle path. So in this case the direction is changing, and I can say velocity is changing, and there is a change in velocity. I can say there is acceleration, and I can say it is a accelerated motion. So that's how we came back to up, down to up. Magnitude is not changing, direction is changing at every point. That means there is a change in velocity. When there is a change in velocity, there will be an acceleration, and that motion will be called as accelerated motion. And what will be the distance traveled for a whole one rotation? What is the distance traveled by the stone for the whole one rotation? That is 2 pi r. Nothing but the circumference of circle. Okay, let's start solving the exercise problems from the page 112. the first question. So let's read the question first. An athlete completes one round of a circular track which is having a diameter of 200 meters in 40 seconds. What will be the distance covered and the displacement at the end of 2 minutes 20 seconds? That means here is an athlete who ran over this circular track for 40 seconds and the circular track has a diameter of 200 meters. So let's draw here. Let's say this is the circular track and this is the diameter of the circular track which is of 200 meters. And he has taken 40 seconds to complete one round. We need to find both distance and displacement by the end of 2 minutes 20 seconds. So let's take this time in the seconds. 2 minutes 20 seconds means totally 2 minutes is nothing but 120 seconds plus 20 seconds. The total it will give to 140 seconds. So it has 140 seconds. Now let's say this guy started running here in this direction. Let's find the distance first. Before finding the distance, let's find the let's find the length of the whole circular path. So that is nothing but the circumference of circle. The formula is 2 pi r. When the diameter is 200 meters, obviously the radius will be 100 meters, right? That means this is 100 meters and this part is another 100 meters. That means radius is 100 meters. And pi value is 3.14, or else you can remember like 22 by 7. Pi value is 22 by 7. You have to remember this value. So let's do the length of the circular path is 2 pi r. That is 2 into 22 by 7 into 100. 2 into 22 by 7 is 3.14 into 100. That is 6.28 into 100. That gives you 628 meters. So this is the length of the circular path. So let's see. In 40 seconds, he is running 628 meters path. In 140 seconds, how much distance he will cover? This is what we need to find, right? That's the distance. So here I can do this as the distance covered will be 140 by 40 into 628. That gives you 2200 meters. This is how you can calculate. Or else we can follow one more method. Method 2. Just by using your common sense. No need any formulas and all. So to complete one whole rotation, if it is taking 40 seconds, how much time, how many seconds he ran? 120 for 140 seconds, right? Sure. So how many 40 seconds it has? Okay, for each 40 seconds 628, and for another 48 seconds 628, another 628, another 628 meters, another 628 meters. If you count this, you will end up with 2200 meters. So for 140 seconds he ran 2200 meters, 2.2 kilometers. So this is just using your common sense. No need any formulas. Now we are going to find the displacement after running for 140 seconds. 2 minutes 20 seconds. Okay, so this is a very important and easier also. Let's say he started here. This is the diameter. Let's break this into 40 seconds. I mean, how many 40s it has? 40. So totally 140 seconds. Here also it is 140 seconds. Chalo. So let's say he started here and he made one round and ended up here for the first 40 seconds. And another 40 seconds he made one more round, third round, next 40 seconds, fourth round, next 40 seconds. Sorry, this is 20 seconds. So for the next 20 seconds he made a half round. For single 40 seconds, if he is covering one whole path, one whole round, for 20 seconds obviously he would be making a half round. So he started here, coming to the fifth round, fifth lap. This is the first lap, second lap, third lap, fourth lap. But coming to the fifth lap, he ran for only 20 seconds. That means he ended up at the half of the distance. That is exactly the opposite, since it is a circle, right? So now they are asking to find the displacement. Displacement is nothing but the shortest distance between the starting point and the final point. He started here very initially, and he ended up here. What is the shortest distance, or sorry, I should say length? What is the shortest length between these 2 points? Obviously this will be the shortest, nothing but the diameter. So the displacement is the diameter, and diameter is nothing but 200 meters. So displacement equal to 200 meters. Seconds. Now coming to the second question, let's read out the question. Joseph jogs from one end A to the other end B of a straight 300 meters road in 2 minutes 30 seconds. So let's make the figure simple. Starting from A, the other end of the straight road, that is B. So he traveled all along from A to B. So it's 300 meters length, and it has taken 2 minutes 30 seconds. That means let's convert this into seconds for simplification. That is 150 seconds. Okay, and turns around and jogs 100 meters back to point C. So after reaching point B, he jogs back again and reached point C, and it is of 100 meters. Now we have to find average speeds and velocities in jogging from A to B. Okay, let's from A to B, we have to find both average speed and average velocity. So let's first find average speed. So average speed is nothing but total distance covered and the total time taken. That's what we know. So total distance is from A to B. He traveled 300 meters. And what was the total time taken? 150 seconds. That is 2 meters per second. That's so easy. And coming to the average velocity calculation. Average velocity. There is no initial velocity or final velocity given. So that's why we have to go with the basic formula. Total displacement by, no need of this word total. So displacement by time taken. So in this case, fortunately, both distance traveled and the displacement traveled is the same from A to B. I am saying about A to B. So the same 300 meters can be taken as the displacement or distance. So 300 divided by 150 seconds. So it will be same 2 meters per second. So coming to the second. What's the second one? He's asking from A to C. So we have to find both average speed and average velocity for the same case. For the case A to C. So let me draw again here. This is A and this is B, and he again jog back to point C. This is 100 meters and the entire, it is 300 meters traveled in 150 seconds. So from point B to C, he traveled 100 meters back and it has taken 1 minute, it was given. So that means 60 seconds. So from A to C, let's do the average speed. Average speed equal to total distance by total time taken. So in the distance, we have to calculate the entire path he covered. So that means first he went from A to B, that is 300, and he came back again till C, that is one more 100. The total time taken is 150 seconds plus A to B, 150 seconds, and then back to C from B, that has been 60 seconds. So and totally it will be 400 divided by 210 meters seconds. That gives you 1.9 meter per second roughly. So now we are going to find average velocity for this case. So this is somewhat crucial. We don't have any initial or final velocity, so we have to go with the basic formula, displacement by time. So here we have to consider from A to C. What is the displacement? So the shortest path from A to C, the shortest path is nothing but, so it is 100. Okay. The entire A to B is 300 and from B to C is 100. So 300 minus 100, that will be here 200 meters. Simple. So the displacement is 200 meters. And coming to the time taken, what is the time taken? We have to take the entire time, that is 300 seconds, 150 seconds plus 60 seconds. That is 200 by 210. That gives us 0.95 around meter per second. This is the average velocity. Here we have to go with the displacement. From the figure we can get to know about the displacement as 200 meters. Coming to the time, that we have to take the same entire time to reach C. Maybe the path has been different, but the time taken will be the same as in the calculation of average speed. Coming to the third question, this is somewhat typical one. Abdul, while driving to school, computes average speed for his trip to be 20 km per hour. On his return trip along the same route, there is less traffic and the average speed is 30 km per hour. Find the average speed for the Abdul trip. So let's make a small figure for this. So he started at A and he reached B, that is his one-way journey. So while going from A to B, the average speed he maintained is 20 km per hour. And again coming back from B to A, the average speed is 30 km per hour he maintained. Now again, moreover he is asking the average speed. So there will be some tendency for us that whenever we see the word average, that means you will take 20 plus 30 by 2. This is the tendency of anyone and you will get 25 km per hour. This is the tendency, average speed, or let's make the average of the speeds given. 20 plus 30 by 2, simple. But this is not the actual answer. This is wrong. So then how to approach? We don't know the distance. So let's take the distance as x kilometers. The unknown value will be taken as x anywhere, right? So now I want to calculate time taken from A to B. That's what I want to find. So for this I have only one data, that the speed I have. Distance equal to speed equal to distance by time, and distance equal to speed into time, right? So distance is x equal to, what is the speed? 20 km per hour into t. So I got t equal to x by 20 hours. So this is what we derived. So this is the time taken from A to B. So let's make it as t1. Now let's calculate time taken from B to A. So that's a reverse journey. So again the same, speed equal to distance by time, distance equal to speed into time. So distance is x, return journey also in the same path, so the distance is same, that is x kilometers. Speed is 30 km per hour. into t. So here the time taken for the journey A to B I am taking as t1, and from B to A I am taking it as t2. So t2 will be x by 30. So got this, right? So we got t1 and t2. Now what's the total time? Total time of journey. What's the total time? A to B plus B to A. That means T1 plus T2 will be the total time. That is x by 20 plus x by 30. So it turns out to be, let's do the LCM. Okay, I will go step by step. Let's make the LCM. So LCM is 60. That is 3x plus 2x. That gives you 5x by 60 hours. So that's the total time. This is very important. So now what's the final thing which we have to find is average speed. And the basic formula is total distance by total time. So the total distance is from A to B it is x, and from B to A it is again x. That means total distance is x plus x for the whole travel, for the whole journey, and the total time is t1 plus t2. That is already we found it to be 5x by 60, but that gives you 2x by 5x by 60. So the denominator will get reciprocal while it enter into numerator. That means 2x into 60 by 5x. That gives you xx will get cancelled, 120 by 5. 120 by 5. So what is the answer? That gives you 24, right? So the average speed will be 24 km per hour for the back and forth journey, to and fro journey. So don't go with the tendency. So okay, there's average speed. So I have two speeds. I can average that. So 20 plus 30 by 2 equal to, you will get 20. You will end up with 25 km per hour. But the actual answer is 24 km per hour. This is wrong approach. Here, coming to the fourth question. Let's read again. A motor boat starting from the rest. See the keyword rest. Matlab, that means initial velocity is 0. On a lake, accelerates in a straight line at a constant rate of 3 meters per second square. That's the value of acceleration. That's the small a. For that 8 seconds, that's the t. How far? That means you have to find the distance traveled during this time. That's a very pretty straightforward question. So let's go from the very basic. These are the equations which we have. Now let's find out which equation we have to pick up. I have to find s. There is no s in this equation, so no need to bother about this one. Coming to the second one. Coming to the second one. We have to find s. That means every other term should be known. We know u, we know t, we know a, we know t. That's fine. We can use this. And we know one more thing. We know a, we know u, but we don't know the v value. For getting v value, we have to use the first equation. So let's go with the pretty straightforward equation by choosing the second one. S is equal to ut plus half at square. So the initial velocity is 0, acceleration is 3 meters per second square, and the time is 8 seconds. So let's use these values to plug in. The initial velocity is 0, so 0 into 8 plus half into 3 into 8 square. So s gives the, s is not the speed, s is the distance in the equations. 0 plus half into 3 into 64. So that gives you 32 times 2 ones, 2 32s. You will be left with 32 into 3. That gives you 96. So the distance traveled by the boat is 96 meters. So let's try with the other formula also. V square minus u square equal to 2as. V square minus initial velocity is 0. So 0 square equal to 2 into acceleration is 3. And we need to find the s. V square, This is the second method. Okay, six s, but we need, okay, we need to find the s equal to v square by 6, but we don't know the v. How come? So let's use one more equation. V is equal to u plus 80. V is equal to 0 plus 3 into 8. So V is equal to 24 meter per second. Finally we got. So I can plug in this value of V here in this equation. So S is equal to 24 into 24 by 6. So S equal to 6 4 24. So you left with 24 into 4, that will be 96 meters. So whatever the equation you choose, we will get the answer finally. If not, that means somewhere we did a mistake. So this is a method 1. And this is method 2. So unfortunately, if you accidentally choose a wrong equation, that's not an issue. Finally you will end up with the correct answer, but you have to go with some extra calculations. Okay, let's read the fifth question. A driver of a car traveling at 52 km per hour applies the brakes and accelerates uniformly in the opposite direction. See, there is a keyword here. Applying the brakes, and he is again saying the car is being accelerated uniformly, and it is being accelerated uniformly in the opposite direction. That means the acceleration is decreasing. When the brakes are applied, acceleration will decrease. That means indirectly by this whole statement he has given that this is retardation, acceleration is decreasing. And the car stops in 5 seconds. After applying the brakes, obviously the car won't stop at instantaneously. It will take some time and it will travel some distance before stopping, right? After applying the brakes also. So it has taken 5 seconds. Another driver, okay, this is the story of one car, and there is another car which is moving at a speed of 3 km per hour and the brakes were applied slowly and it stopped in 10 seconds. And we have to do this on the graph paper. We have to plot speed versus time for the two cars, and from the graph we have to calculate the distance traveled by those cars after applying the brakes and before stopping. After applying the brakes, the car has traveled some distance for some time, right? We have to calculate that distance. Let's start with the graph. So data here, car 1 and car 2. So it is traveling with the speed of, so initially it is moving with the speed of 52 km per hour. Obviously it stops, right? The final velocity will be 0, and the time it has taken to stop, that is given as 5 seconds. And here coming to the second car, it is already moving with the velocity of 3 km per hour, and obviously it will stop finally. So the final velocity is 0 and it has taken 10 seconds to stop. We have to put this on the graph. Let's draw for the car 1 first on the same graph, obviously. This is the time and this is the speed. But coming to the units, here the time is in hours, here the time is in seconds, here the time is in hours, and here the time is in seconds. So let's convert this into meter per seconds. So 52 into 5 by 18, and here it will be 3 into 5 by 18, 15 by 18, and coming here, so it comes out to be 130 by 9 meter per second. And here it is, we can still do with the 3. So 3 5s 3 6. It is 5 by 6 meter per second. So now everything is fine. Let's start. For the car 1, so I am using black for the car 1. So initially it is moving with the speed of 130 by 9 meter per second. So it is in meter per second, and the time is in also in seconds. Okay, so initially it is traveling with the speed of the 130 by 9, and finally it will drop to 0, obviously, right? The speed will drop to 0, obviously, but it is taking time 5 seconds. So here let's say this is 5 and this is 10 and this is 0. So finally it will drop from 130 by 9 to 0. So this is the graph for the car 1. car 1. And one more thing, there is a thumb rule which I have discussed already. Now we have to find the distance traveled, right? So distance equal to speed into time. When there is multiplication between x-axis term and y-axis term, we have to go with area calculation, right? So now if you find the area enclosed here, then you will get the distance traveled by that car 1 after applying the brakes and before it stopped. So chalo, let's find the area of this. So it's a triangle. The car 1, the distance traveled equal to area of triangle. So that is equal to half base is, this is the base, this is nothing but the 5, base and height, half into base into height. Height is 130 by 9. So let's do this. So it turned out to be 650 by 18, and you can go with the 2 9s, 2 3s, 2 2s, and okay. So it will be 325 by 9. You can make it into decimals. So this will be in meters. So this is the distance traveled with the car 1 after applying the brakes and before stopping. So let's do the same thing for the car 2. So let's pick some different color for that. Yeah, coming to the car 2. So it's we have to do that on the same graph. So initially it is starting with some velocity 5 by 6 meter per second, and obviously it also stops. So the final velocity will become 0 on the y-axis, but it is taking 10 seconds. So let's draw. Yeah, good. So now the same for the car 2, to find the distance equal to speed into time, and if there is multiplication symbol between x-axis term and the y-axis term, we have to go with the area calculation. So area of the purple triangle. So area of this purple triangle. Same area of triangle. So half into, what's the base? Here to here, this is the total base of this purple triangle. So it is 10. And what is the height? Height is this, right? So this will be 5 by 6, 50 by 12, right? You can go with the 2 6 and 2 25s. It will be 25 by 6. So it becomes 36.1 roughly. So car 1 travels 36.1 meters. And coming to this, make it into decimals. Suppose 24, 1.0, 6 ones, 6, 4, around 4.16 or 17 meters. So which car traveled more distance after applied the brakes? After the brakes were applied. So directly we can say the car 1. Car 1 traveled 36 meters after applying the brakes, and car 2 traveled 4.17 only. Okay. Let's discuss the 6th question later, and 8th also at last. So we can take the graph problems at last. Coming to the 7th. Read the question. A ball is gently dropped from a height of 20 meters. Okay, let's say this is the ground at surface, and there is a ball. It's at a height of 20 meters and it has been dropped. So dropped also. So when you are just dropping the ball, that also means initial velocity is 0. Rest, stationary, dropping. So these terms will give you an indication that initial velocity is 0. If its velocity increases uniformly, obviously when it travels towards the ground, it will be pulled by the Earth's gravitation, right? And if its velocity increases uniformly at a rate of 10 meters per second square. See, he said velocity is increasing at the rate of 10 meters per second square. That doesn't mean it is a velocity. Trick here. Check the units. Meter per second square. Unit is saying that it is acceleration. So we have to take that as a acceleration. So 10 meters per second square is the acceleration, and the initial velocity is 0, and we have to find with what velocity will it strike the ground. What is the velocity of the ball when it exactly strike the ground? That means the final velocity. Initial velocity is 0. We have to find the final velocity, and we know the distance or the height. So first let's calculate the velocity. That's the final velocity, and we also don't know the time, right? So let's go with the equation. V is equal to u plus at. V square minus u square equal to 2as. S is equal to ut plus half at square, which will serve the purpose. So we are going to find the final velocity. That means v. it has v, so we have to find this. So that means every other term should be known. We know u, we know a, but we don't know v. Coming to the s, we know the s. Yeah, s is nothing but the distance, or as here it is the height. We know u, but we don't know the t, and moreover it doesn't have any term v. So coming to the second one, we have v. That means we have to find this. That means every other term should be known. We know u, we know 2, we know a, we know s. S is nothing but 20. So this is the best option to pick up with. So v square minus u square equal to 2as. V square minus 0 square equal to 2 into 10 into 20. So v square equal to 400. That means v is equal to root 400. That gives you 20. And the units are the heart. Units are the heart. So we have to 20 meter per second. Now we also have to find the time. How much time it has taken to fall. Now we have v, so it's very easy. We can use any other equation. V is equal to u plus at. We need to find the t. We know a, we know u, we know v. So that's okay. So 20 equal to 0 plus 10 into t. 20 equal to 10t. T equal to 20 by 10 and t equal to 2 seconds. Simple. So let's go to the 9th. State which of the following situations are possible and give an example for each of these. So we have to assess will this can exist, these cases. Coming to the A. An object with a constant acceleration but zero velocity. Can it be happen? See, an object should have constant acceleration but zero velocity. How come? Zero velocity, that means no acceleration, but he is saying it should have constant acceleration. But it is possible, exactly, it is possible. Let's say you have thrown a ball upwards. This is the earth surface, you have thrown the ball upwards. After reaching the maximum height, what is the velocity? Velocity will be zero. Yeah, zero velocity at end. Constant acceleration. Exactly, the body, the ball will be constantly having acceleration due to gravity towards its surface. The Earth's gravity will pull the object every time. So there is an acceleration due to Earth's gravity towards the ground. That's a constant, 9.8 meter per second square. So come to the B. An object moving with an acceleration but with uniform speed. Yeah, here that's what we already discussed. So let's take a string and tie a stone and start rotating in circular motion. So maybe it is moving with constant speed. Maybe it is moving with uniform speed. That means the constant speed. And it should be have acceleration. So at each and every point, so it is directed in some other direction, but it is being forced into the circular motion by the string. That means the direction is being changed. When the direction is changed, I can say the velocity is changing. Let me write here. Direction change. That means velocity changes. And I can say it is accelerated motion, or it is an acceleration. So it's possible. So B also possible. Coming to the C. An object moving in a certain direction with an acceleration in the perpendicular direction. Yeah, obviously. So let's say this is the tower. So let's say this is the tower, and I have thrown a ball from the tower. In this direction. Okay. At each and every point on the ball, there will be the acceleration due to gravity towards the ground. So that is exactly perpendicular to the motion of the ball, right? So the acceleration is being perpendicular to the ball motion. So C also can happen. A and B and C can happen. So let's read the 10th question. An artificial satellite is moving in a circular orbit of radius 42250 kilometers. Calculate its speed if it takes 24 hours to revolve around the Earth. Let's say this is the Earth, and let's say this is the satellite, and it will move around the Earth. Okay. and it takes 24 hours to complete one revolution around the earth. That's what it is given. And the radius of the orbit, so from the center, so this is the radius of the orbit, obviously, right? So this is the radius of the orbit. It has given as 42250 kilometers. Now we have to find the speed. So speed equal to distance by time. What is the distance? You shouldn't take 42250 because the satellite is not moving in this path. No, satellite is moving in the circular path, not in this line path. So what is the distance? It will be the circumference of circle, obviously, by time. What is the circumference of the circle? Formula is 2 pi r by t. What is 2 pi r? You know the pi value of pi. So let's plug in the values. Two into 3.14. Yeah, pi equal to 22 by 7. We can take it as 3.14. Into what is the radius? 42250 kilometers. And what is the time? 24 hours. This is the speed. Now we are going to calculate this in the kilometer per hour. So that's because we have taken everything is kilometers and hours. We didn't convert anything. So let's do this calculation. Okay, so you end up getting 11055.41. This is the speed. This is the speed of the satellite around the earth. So this is in kilometer per hour. So if you want to make this in meter per second, so speed equal to 11055.41 into 5 by 18 meter per second. So this is what, right? So to convert kilometer per hour into meter per second, I have to multiply 5 by 18. So do the calculation. So you will end up with 3070.9 meter per second. That's it. Coming to the 8th question, I haven't written the whole question here, but I have taken the graph. So coming to the A question, we have to find how far does the car travel in the first 4 seconds. Shade the area on the graph that represents the distance traveled by the car during the period. You have to just represent the area under the curve on the graph. So the distance equal to speed into time. This is the x-axis term and this is the y-axis term, and there is a multiplication symbol between the x-axis and y-axis terms. So to find the distance, we have to go with the area calculation. So we have to just mark the or shade the region. So this is the 4 seconds. So this is the shaded region. So this area is the distance covered in 4 seconds. Simple, because multiplication between x-axis term and y-axis term by the area calculation. So the next B part is, which part of the graph represents uniform motion of the car? Uniform motion, that means you have to move with the same speed. Uniform motion, you have to cover same distance in the same time. That means the uniform speed. If you observe carefully, after 6 seconds, the graph is looking like a flat. So that means after 6 seconds, the car started moving with uniform speed, or it is in uniform motion after 6 seconds.